Good morning.
All right, so we'll let you start by summarizing what happened last week. We'll talk about planning for this week, and we'll do that by going over a big idea for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and your new idea.
Right. That sounds good. The U-shaped worked really well. We asked the kids, and they all liked it really well. And we were able to cover the questions really quickly. And then when we shared the ideas, we had the kids.
Yep, we had the kids share throughout the whole class, so that was kind of neat.
Oh, very great. So you did the stations. You did the U with the stations on each side.
Yep. Yeah. So it worked well, and then they felt comfortable enough to go ahead and speak to the entire class.
Yeah, they knew their answers were correct, so it wasn't that hesitation of, oh, am I right, am I not right? So
that worked really well. And then we did the vocab quiz, and that worked. Everybody scored an A or B, and we had to prompt maybe 2 kids.
Yep. Well, there was one girl who wasn't here, who missed some, and she wanted to take it anyway. So we had to give her a few words to try to get that A or B range. But besides that, yeah, it was only like 1 or 2 prompts.
We finally found a word she knew, so we did.
Well, and what I have to celebrate is that you guys have done such a good job in the beginning of making everybody believe they can be successful. So you've got self-esteem so high that the risk is going to get bigger and bigger. So I have to applaud both of you for being willing to take some risk on your own to lower the risk for the kids. So that's fabulous to hear.
So, and then we did, we've been reading, and we stopped. The commercial breaks work really well with the reading.
Yep.
Taking the commercial break. So, and I've been bugging him a lot with the football, so it's been good because he can explain it.
It's nice to start with something in football. Yeah. That's good.
So anyway, so it worked well. This week for Monday, we're going to work a little bit with fragments and complete sentences. We have an activity that goes with the book, so we'll take a look at that dialogue within the book and how it works, and you can have a fragment. We speak in fragments all the time. So I hope that they can leave Monday with understanding the difference between fragment and complete sentence. I know they've had it before, so it should be a review.
So Lisa, when you talk about a fragment, where I think kids get confused, so I'm going to ask you a question from my special ed lens, is dependent clauses versus sentence fragments. How do you want that to be handled?
Well, I'll show them some of the dependent clauses, and we have a certain way that we teach it with our ICDC structure. And so I'll give them some of that, and I'll give them some examples. But I also want to show them just in dialogue that you can just have just a quick fragment as well that doesn't even have a verb. So.
Got it. And so really the key that I would be looking for, and I'm asking TJ if this is what you would see, is either something missing a noun or a verb.
Yeah. We can go over more what are verbs to really make sure they understand. Because I don't know, sometimes we get verbs and adjectives and adverbs and all those still mixed up a little bit. So I'll really make sure we understand what is a verb.
And that'll be good for our ELL student because he really struggles. So
I'm wondering, Lisa, if maybe today you make a really strong emphasis that everybody, TJ, at the end of the lesson can give you a verb without a noun. And tomorrow you see if they can give you a noun without a verb. So that you break and say that either one of those is a fragment, because I think when you put them together for some of the level of kids you have, I think you're going to end up with, running fast. And you're like, okay, got it. So that's a good one. But then later they're going to say, they're going to keep using verbs without a noun, and they're not going to understand a noun without a verb. So maybe decoupling those a little bit might take it one level lower for some of the students that are really low. And I think that's what you always want to do is, Lisa, you set this really good bar of, but how low can we pull it and it still be okay? And if a kid just comes up and says cat, yes, that's a fragment. And that may be what some of the students can do.
Okay, that's good. And then we're just going to read as well. So we'll finish the first section definitely by Tuesday. Tuesday I thought we'd do the spirit reading but I thought we might split the class up in half, and we won't take kids with accommodations, but we'll just truly split the class up, and half can go to TJ's room, and then half can stay in in mind, because then you can read and you have fewer kids, so it's not as noisy, and so they can.
Yeah, and maybe we can kind of try to keep pace a little bit easier.
So we can keep pace, and then that way, wherever the Spirit takes you, so you're reading in groups of 2 or 3, and you can take turns reading, and the whole goal is to practice and improve fluency. But how do you measure that is the question.
So here's a really easy way to measure that. It's a thing called predictions. And what would happen is if Jen and I were reading together and in a pair before we start to read, so you could do this in both of your classes. And first of all, let me commend you for breaking them into smaller groups, because keep thinking about their self-esteem as poker chips. And when I'm in a group of 10 people, I don't have very many poker chips I have to dish out to take a risk. When I'm in a group of 20, I've got to have a bigger group of poker chips. And a lot of your kids that are really low have very low self-esteem. So this is my favorite, because you can have absolutely no self-esteem and still do predictions. And so Jen and I are a pair, and Jen says, Lisa, we're getting ready to read. What do you think this 2 pages are going to be about? And I guess they're going to be about vampires, and they're not. They're about a bride. And so we read the 2 pages, and then Jen says, and this is how we quiz it, did your prediction come true? And I say, no, it was about a bride. But she never says I'm wrong, because we make a very clear prediction is your best guess. And you could tie that into predicting scores in football and, predicting how well you're going to do on a test. You may be wrong, but it's your best guess and your best at that time. And then here's the powerful part of this, and it's a great reading strategy, is at the end then Jen is the counter, and she doesn't tell me I'm wrong, but she forces me to summarize those 2 pages in 10 words or less. And your analysis is you're going to be able to watch us count with our fingers. And if you don't see one of us counting, we didn't do a summary. And then you could come and you could ask us to say, okay, what was your 10-word summary? Then the next time we read 2 pages, I look at Jen, and Jen predicts. When we finish the 2 pages, I say, did your prediction come true? And she's like, no, I was wrong too, or gosh, I got closer. And then I force her to do 10 words or less. If she does 20 words, I don't say, oh, she's wrong, but I chunk it. And then what you could do is do a little 10-question quiz at the end that you're checking to see our comprehension, and it's a team score. And our goal is to make sure both of us get the 10 questions right together versus us being independent of each other. Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
And I'll send you those steps in its prediction. Now, here's one last thing, if you're ready for it, is you could also make it competitive. That TJ's group is trying to get a better score than your group.
Okay.
And so collectively, then you're going to take all of the quizzes from his room, all the quizzes from your room, and you could use Socrates or something easy to gather the scores. And you say, oh, Mrs. Palmer's group got a 77, and TJ's group got a 76. So tomorrow when we read, you guys better work harder, because we're out to get you. So it's collaboratively that we're working together. Your group is working together, TJ, Lisa, your pairs are working together, your group's working together, but we're also competing against each other to do better as a whole.
Right. Oh, that makes sense. That's
Yeah.
good. And so for your example, so it's basically the 2 students, so the teacher just goes and monitors and watches, and they're supposed to ask, what are your predictions, and the other student asks, what's your summary of this? Okay, so it's just the student.
And now it could be that we're reading aloud and doing this, or it could be that we're reading the text by ourselves. You guys can make that decision, and you might say, well, today let's do read aloud with the group and take their quiz. The next day, let's not do read aloud, let them do it in pairs, take the quiz. You also then will have a measurement of, yeah, we should always read aloud to this group, or we should never read aloud to this group, because they actually do better when we let them read in pairs by themselves. And that'll help you understand and do a quick assessment of the group as a whole. Does that clarify?
Mm-hmm. That's good. That's good. And then Wednesday, what I thought we'd do is, I thought we would, since I have 6 groups, we have 4 chapters basically in the book. So 2 groups would cover 1 chapter, and then another 2 groups would cover the 2nd chapter, and then we'd have 1 group of each of the last 2 chapters. And so as a group, they have to come up with 15 items. It's the book bag. So 15 items. Oops, sorry, we lost you.
Oh, no, you're still here. We see you.
Okay, we just lost on our side. Okay, 15 items that person would actually literally carry in his bag, or carry metaphorically, so they can understand the difference between the two terms. And they'll have to explain it to the class. And so they'll bring in pictures or bring in the item. And I thought we'd start with a high-achieving group first, because they'll just have a couple of days to bring in their, to figure out their items. And while they're working on that, the rest of the class will come up with 10 bullet points that happened in that chapter, so as a group. And that'll really, I think, help the ELL student, because he needs help. And so that's, I don't know, maybe that's, I've used the book bag before. And so when I have two groups covering one chapter, what I thought I would do is, one person will cover Neely Crenshaw, and the other one, Paul Curry, maybe. Mm-hmm. So what would they carry up to this point in their bag?
So would one of those two characters be easier than another, TJ?
Probably. I think Neely's more of the main character, and Paul's just kind of his best friend. So I think Neely would probably be a little easier. Mm-hmm. So probably give some of the lower groups that have a few more lower kids that character rather than.
Well, and it's just one group will cover, or two groups, I'm sorry. So the other four groups, they'll go later. So we won't have, so everybody will do this activity, but it'll be after we finish a chapter, is what I was thinking. So what'll be nice is we'll take the lowest group and they'll go very last, so they can see that.
So they'll get to see what others are doing and model. Oh, good. Yeah, and again, I would immediately, if a student you're worried about, personally, I would immediately say, let's give them 5.
Okay.
Well, make them maybe.
Well, they're working as a group too, and as a group, they have to come up with 15. So there are 5 people in the group, so they present as a group.
So it's really 3.
I would feed him 2 literal examples that he's going to just bring to the group up front.
Okay.
So he's not going to do the metaphorical, because that's going to be gone. But I would give him the 2 literal things, and I would give them to him personally. So he pulls them out of the, and he shows the group, and he's like leading the group in those 2 areas.
Okay, that sounds good. So that was one activity I had for the week as well.
So we have about 1 more minute. I want to be cognizant of your time. Thursday, Friday, give me the highlight.
Thursday would be the bullet points. So I want them to take away the 10 main things that happened in the plot for Tuesday, and Tuesday's called the chapter. For that chapter is what it's called. And then the 2 groups will work, because I need to give them time to plan what they want to bring and go through it. So I thought they could work on that. And then Friday, they'll have the presentation, the 2 groups, because I'll give them a couple days to plan it. And they can bring in pictures. They don't have to actually, if they don't have a football, they can, a picture's just fine. And then Friday we'll have the next vocab quiz, which I thought we would do the same way. They'll get 1 word. So we'll try to slip in there some review on Wednesday and Thursday too. Maybe I probably have overplanned, but.
Yeah, it sounds like a week and a half, but that's okay. We now know what you're starting next week with, so that's okay. So 2 quick questions. The bullet list of 10, that's again the group.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So TJ, one of my goals for you would be in the group to maybe assign roles to kids, so that the group doesn't carry your kids that are really low. So could it be that one of your kids is going to take the words and add smells? One of the kids are going to take the words and add a taste. One of the kids are going to add pictures. And then one of the kids is going to be ready to present the words. So that we now have multi-sensory going on, but we also then have a very clear role for maybe some of your students who are lower. What does a football taste like? Like a cow. Okay, good. Well, you've eaten beef before. So again, having this kind of humorous part, but it gives each kid a role that's safe, that you could help them kind of think at a different level. Now you've got multi-sensory in there, but it also then doesn't allow one kid to be the bossy mama in the group and then present everything, and the other kid goes, I didn't understand a thing she just said. So that would be something that I would encourage you to maybe kind of plan out for the week of how you'll differentiate kids in the group.
Okay.
Other things you need to know. Again, I have time, but I want to be super respectful of you guys' time. I think your planning is out of this ballpark. I think it's too much, Lisa, but I think, again, you're still trying to figure that out.
That's okay.
Absolutely. I'm not condemning too much. I love the fact, and you've thought through the differentiation, which is what I really, really adore about your ability to think about kids that are on the extreme. So it makes it easy.
No, I thought, I thought we could, with the book bag, I thought, well, I just want some sort of activity at the end of each section of the book, and so that's why I thought we would just take turns doing that, because if they all have the book bag after Tuesday, then it just gets boring. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. And so there'll be some other characters who are introduced, and by the end, we'll know more about the coach who died, and so then somebody will cover that.
Yep.
So, and then for the high achieving group, we've done this before. Well, I've done this in honors. Is what would the author carry? So,
Yeah, that's a very deep one. That's a great one.
That's good. So we've done that.
Cool. All right. So I'll send you the predictions in written format, so you have that. So you have the structure for that, so you don't have to just take it. But I wanted to kind of model it. For next week, what would you like to focus on?
What do you think?
Are we doing the same assessment already?
So we're doing the vocab assessment. I think what we'll do is we'll do the brown bag probably for our assessment at the very end instead of, but I think we're doing enough with the book bag. That's a form of assessment, so I'm not going to worry about any other quizzes. Plus we have the vocab quiz that we're continuing to do as well. So we'll go with the brown bag. Probably just more with planning still.
Yep.
Okay, so we'll keep talking through the planning. I'll keep trying to add ideas that are along that line once you share the plans for next week. So we'll think if there's any additional resources afterwards, but I know you got kids coming in. Still going okay with you to do it in this structure? This works for both of you?
Oh, yeah.
Yep,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's good. Mm-hmm.
All right.
So, well, thank you very much.
All right, thank you. It's a privilege. We love it. We'll talk